Okay. And here's Heather. Great. So we have a quorum. We do expect a few more people, but I want to honor you guys for being on time. So I'm going to call the meeting to order at 12:01. And then the first thing we are going to do is to look at the agenda and just if there's any changes you guys want to make or if we're going to adopt it for today. So let me share my screen with you. And okay. So please take a look. I'm going to, Michael, are you going to be a regular? Are you going to be in our committee as a regular?
Yes, and a lot less flighty than I have to be today.
No, that's okay. I just want to make sure. So I'm going to put you in your name rather than as the ASMC rep. And we're very excited that you're joining us.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay, so for those of you just joining us, we are reviewing the agenda for today. And so just let me know if there is anything that you want to change or amend or add.
I would suggest adding the content of the email that Name just sent.
Yes, we're going to do that when we get, thanks you, is that Dan?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, thanks Dan. We're going to do that when we get to assessment. I saw that too, and I put that into the minutes. So yes, that will be part of our, that will be part of our accreditation discussion understanding items. Thank you.
All right.
Anybody else?
There's one thing that's really prevalent on my mind. Just let me know if it's you know, maybe the wrong thing. I'm still getting used to the whole committee system and the meeting processes. So what I see as being a major threat right now to our accreditation coming up in terms of like a secondary effect is major issues that we've seen through all Welcome Week with students having just drowning in trouble built on not being able to get correspondences. So if there's any item that you might be able to help me think of to add discussing or addressing that and how we can get on top of that so we can ensure student success and keep all of our numbers on paper looking good, I'd love to suggest that idea.
I think that's very important. Let's put that, I'm going to put that under new business. Opening week communication. Great, thank you. Okay, going back to the agenda. Anybody else? Okay. So let's just take a vote and I'll just do a roll call on adopting the agenda. Or Neem, can I just ask if anybody is opposed to adopting the agenda?
Yes, you can just do that.
Okay. Is anyone opposed to adopting the agenda with the additions and changes that have been made? Okay, great. Then let's move on. The first action item we need to do is to elect a chair. And so the first thing is to nominate someone. And we can nominate as many people as we like. You can nominate yourself or someone else. I would like to nominate myself as the chair. So I'm very interested in being the chair of this committee. I have been since the spring summit when it was first brought up. I immediately contacted Stephanie to ask what the Accreditation Committee was all about, and I've been very involved over the summer in supporting the accreditation process. Is there anybody else that wants to nominate someone or themselves? No? Okay, and for this I will do a roll call. So I guess we're voting yes or no on me, or you can abstain. So for myself, I vote yes. I don't know if Maria's here. Marie's not here. Is Lilia here? Okay. Michael?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Arya?
Yes.
Thank you. Is that a yes vote or is that a yes, I'm here?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Is Lillian here?
Yes.
Lillian, are you voting yes or are you saying yes, I'm here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and then we're voting. Did you just come in?
Yes.
Oh, okay, we're voting. So we're voting on electing a chair, and I nominated myself, and no one else came forward. So, do you want to abstain, yes or no, on that vote?
Oh, I say yes to you. Is this for me, Lilia?
Oh, well, I was talking to Lillian, but
Okay,
we'll come
sorry.
back to you in a second, Lily. I'm glad you're here. So, Lillian.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Lilia. Now you're up.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Denise. Dr. Richardson.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, and that was Denise Woodward, wasn't it?
Denise Woodward. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Now, Dr. Richardson.
Yes, I'm here, and yes, I vote yes.
Thank you. Margie.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi.
I abstained because I missed then I just logged in.
That's okay. So just a quick review so you know what we're doing. We're electing a chair. I nominated myself. No one else nominated anyone. And so we're asking yes, no, or abstain on that.
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you. And Heather. Is Heather Casale there? Any other SLOAC representative here? I thought I saw Heather come on.
Laura.
Oh, hi, Laura. Sorry, I thought I saw
Hi.
Heather come on. And Laura, did you hear what we're
I
discussing?
did.
Okay.
And I vote yes for you.
Okay. That is unanimous then. Thanks, everybody, for your vote of confidence. So I will be the chair of the Accreditation Committee, and I am extremely excited to serve in that role. Before we go on to the bylaws, I wonder if, I'm going to come back to the regular screen and stop this share. I wonder if you would just allow me to discuss how I would like us to communicate in this meeting as your new chair. Would you guys be okay with me just taking a couple of minutes to discuss that, even though it's not on the agenda?
Michael Cooper has his hand raised.
Oh, thank you. Michael, yes.
Hey, yeah, I'm totally fine with that. I just wanted to check, and I'm embarrassed not to know in my scramble, but could you tell me what the planned time is for this meeting? How long?
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael. So it goes from 12 to 1:30.
Okay. Am I going to cause any disruptions to the meeting if I have to switch over to the student trustee elections at 1 o'clock?
You will not, and we're glad to have you as long as we can, and we appreciate your participation.
Thanks so much.
Okay. And also, I will get the minutes out afterwards so that you can review them, and if you want to add anything or have any questions, you can go from there. Okay, so I just wanted to first thank you all for participating. I just feel like there's value in each and every one of you who have agreed to be in this committee, and I am so pleased that you've all stepped up to be here. And your voices are all really important, so I want to hear them. In terms of how we communicate in here, I just want, and I don't expect that it will be any different than this, but I want us to be open to each other, to really listen to each other, and to avoid being judgmental or critical of what we say. And so when we start to discuss, if you come up with something that you think is a different idea than someone else, to say, I wonder if, rather than, that's wrong. Or I agree with this part of what that person says, and I have something to offer, rather than I totally discount that. So I'd like to continue in that vein because we all have such amazing experience in such different realms at this college. And if we can all hear each other and listen to each other, I believe that we can come up with the most beneficial ideas and be able to use that moving forward. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that or disagree? Okay.
If I might, I'll just briefly note that I'm wholeheartedly all about that, especially in terms of any like critical communications towards or about specific individuals. But I do just want to mention in advance that I do have some frank feelings and opinions about things. Sometimes I definitely give the benefit of the doubt that we all just need to combine our perspectives together and we'll probably agree on most ends. Sometimes, I just have a critical perspective about the pattern, and I want people to know that I'm talking about the pattern, not them.
I appreciate that, Michael, and I am glad that you spoke up because I don't think we should all just agree on everything. Absolutely not. I want to hear your different perspectives. I want to know if in your experience what someone else is saying doesn't ring true. I just want us to be respectful of each other. Okay. Anybody?
Absolutely.
Great. And again, we are so glad to have you here, Michael, because having a student as part of this committee is essential. Anybody else before we move on to reviewing the bylaws? Okay. So I'll share my screen again. Hopefully some of you looked at the bylaws. I know Dan gave me some word corrections and I appreciate that, Dan. I made some of those, but not all of them. Let's see, I gotta find my bylaws. And okay, here we go. So for those of you who have not had a chance to look at these, please take a look. And you can just speak up at any time if there is anything here that you believe should be changed, and we can take a vote on it as a committee. Would it help if I just kind of read through it for everyone and we can take it as we go? Yeah? Okay. The purpose of the Accreditation Committee is the Accreditation Committee is designated to work with the Accreditation Steering Committee and Accreditation Liaison Officer toward ensuring the college is in compliance with all accreditation standards. So just so you guys know, the committee is separate from the ICER writing, and the benefit of having this committee is that we want it to be ongoing. So even after the ACCJC visit, the Accreditation Committee will continue to meet with the goal of in 6 years when we do this again, it's going to be a piece of cake because the Accreditation Committee will have been doing the work of accreditation with the college and supporting that work throughout time. The charge to review updates and changes to accreditation standards with the ALO as documented by the ACCJC and facilitate that the college is adhering to these standards. 2, to discuss and recommend ways of tracking and capturing evidence that the college is in compliance with all standards. Again, this way we're collecting evidence over the years, not just trying to do it at the last minute when we get to the ICER again. 3, to communicate the college's progress, strengths, and needs to the college community, and that'll be my charge as the chair, but also all of you can go back in your committee meetings and with your programs and spread the word. And because we have such a widespread membership, this will be very useful. And then 4, to report on the college's progress at the end of each semester to the College Council. That's our charge. Any comments, additions?
I do have a recommendation
Sure.
for a revision to charge number 1, Hillary.
Sure, yes.
Everyone is familiar with the accreditation standards, but what many people don't realize is there are 2 other sets of rules that we need to abide by and comply with in terms of accreditation. One is something called eligibility requirements. These are baseline operational kinds of tasks that we need to fulfill just to be eligible to be accredited. So they're like really simple things like just, like being an operating institution with students, you know, informing our community about our mission and the programs that we have, that kind of thing. And so I would include that. And then the second set of rules is what is called commission policies. Many of these stem from federal regulations that all higher education institutions have to abide by. And again, these are really basic, everyday kinds of things that we just need to do as a matter of fact. And unless we do those, we adhere to those two sets of things, we wouldn't even be considered for accreditation.
Okay, great. So the way that I changed it, Neem, does that reflect what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have, does anybody disagree with that or want to change it in some different way?
This is Dan. I don't disagree, but I assume that the commission in the commission policies is the ACCJC, and so just maybe we should be specific about which commission, or maybe you could you put as documented by ACCJC. Maybe that. Nima, are the eligibility requirements set by ACCJC as well?
Yes, all three things are ACCJC.
Oh, okay. So thank you.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't have, as part of the charge, something about ensuring that our website reflects all of the appropriate accreditation-related information.
So this is a good discussion topic, Denise, because I want the accreditation committee to be able to communicate that. My fear in putting it in the charge that we're responsible for the website is just not having the control of the website or the knowledge about it. So how could we word that?
I agree with you, and that's why I said ensuring rather than being responsible for, but how we do that has to be, I would say advocating to, because we can't ensure it because there are things kind of beyond the control of the committee in terms of that. But I think we could say something about advising or advocating, using that kind of language to ensure that the website is current and reflects all ACCJC requirements.
Okay, and who would we advocate or advise?
I'm hoping that's not me, but
that's my question.
Student Services, Dr. Chavez, would that be you, or would that? I mean, how would we?
Is that the webmaster that we don't have?
Yes, that webmaster that is on the way. That is going to happen.
How about if we say something like working with anybody? You can help me with wording here. Working with.
Or just work with
website developer, website.
Webmaster is what we are, or just work with, we could just say, keep it vague and work with the appropriate entity or individuals. Maybe that's a bit too vague. Work with the appropriate department to facilitate or ensure, or not ensure, but to promote. Why don't we put promote? To promote accreditation.
To promote the necessary accreditation material appears on the Merritt College website.
That's to promote the required accreditation information. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
So I'm just curious, who is responsible for, I know we don't currently have a webmaster, but is there somebody who's responsible for ensuring that the accreditation information is posted somewhere? Like, who is doing that now?
Actually, that's the conversation that I'll be having really soon with one of our ICER committee members. That conversation hasn't happened yet, so I'm not going to disclose, but yes, that's.
Oh yeah, no, that's,
but
I just,
that'll be disclosed Monday, actually. So it's
okay, no, I just wondered
no,
if there was a process in place for this, and then if that might make trying to add it here clearer, so.
So Denise, should we put webmaster?
Why don't we put, actually, it's going to be an assignment that's going to be made by the president and myself to one of the ICER steering committee leads.
Okay.
So why don't we just put work with the appropriate accreditation appointee to promote the required accreditation you know what, just to ensure that the required accreditation information appears on the Merritt. We're going to commit. We're going to say not promote. We're going to say to ensure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone on the committee want to do different wording or disagree or have additions or changes?
So, so I know it says work with appropriate accreditation appointee.
Dr. Chavez, I'm having difficulty hearing you. Could you speak up a bit?
Could you hear me?
Yes, much better.
Okay. I think I wanted to say to ensure the required accreditation information is published and accurate.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Anyone else? Anyone disagree with that wording? I can read it back. Work with, go ahead.
I was going to suggest that maybe not accreditation appointee, because that appointee might not be, like, in an off year, we're not going to have a special appointee maybe, but like we should still, there should still be an appropriate person. So just an appropriate, maybe the appropriate individual or the appropriate appointee, just like without.
Should we say work with ALO appointee? And that way it doesn't matter if it's an ICER year.
Well, could it be an ALO designee? However, I just want to say that since I've been focusing a lot more on the student services side. So what I did is I had everybody look through every page to correct as best we could. However, there's two sides of the house. We all need help. So this one designee is not going to, unless they have institutional knowledge, that institutional knowledge is so critical and important in this role. And I think we've seen some of the challenges, but they need to, it's a constant updating of the whole website. So it almost feel it needs to be like a team that supports this person to make sure that information is accurate and published in a timely manner.
I just want to add that when I said accreditation information, the Accreditation Commission requires specific things to be included on the website of the college. So, and I think Dr. Chavez, you're absolutely correct in terms of overall updates of the website for accuracy. That's absolutely correct. It requires a team. But I think for the very specific list of things that need to be present on the website that the ACCJC has indicated, I think one person could be responsible for that. And Neem, you're familiar with that list. Would you agree?
Yes. Like I had mentioned earlier, what you're referring to are the commission policies. And I mean, they're just really basic, simple things that we need to have on our website, like a student complaint form, and a list of all our programs. So yeah, I think one person could be tasked with that. I don't think it's a huge chore if it's just, we publish it the first time and just keep it up to date.
These are just compliance. These are compliance issues. But Dr. Chavez, you're absolutely correct in terms of just the general accuracy and the fact that we need everything updated at all times. That absolutely would be the work of a team.
Okay.
So let me read it back, and that way we can make sure everybody agrees. Work with the ALO or work with ALO appointee to ensure the required accreditation information, and then in parentheses, by the ACCJC is published and accurate on the Merritt College website. Anybody disagree or have further changes?
Compliance to uphold our compliance, to maintain compliance.
Is that Lilia?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So work with ALO appointee to ensure compliance with,
The required, okay, that's.
is that okay the way it stands?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Compliance with the insured, yes.
great.
So this is Dan, I have a question. I just want to make sure that I understand that the things I'm imagining might have to get posted, what would get posted. So for example, in January of this year, we got a letter because of the FICMAT financial stuff, and so that was something that was required to be posted to the website. Now we happen to be in an ICER year, so we had some infrastructure, but that would be the sort of thing that, like, in an off year, there should be somebody who's in charge of making sure that gets posted. Is that correct? Like, that's what this is to ensure?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, and even in an ICER year, right, that we're just all paying attention and monitoring and making sure that it's updated. So it's not just that person, that there's this whole committee behind it. Does that help, Dan?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Great, you guys. Anybody? Yes, please.
I had a thought. I don't know how much more complicated this might be to add in there, but I thought it was possible, especially since it's being expressed as promotion and more of a loose intention. But I think that we could really gain, again, peripheral benefit as far as accreditation. It's that, domino effect of increasing social media engagement. So if we can increase engagement through the Merritt or even assistance of the Peralta Facebook page and other sources of social media outlets, I think we can get a lot of these problems resolved. I could go on and on about the direct benefits to accreditation, but it's a little hard to summarize.
So, Michael, I hear you, and I think what you're saying is the benefits of making sure we have updates in social media for students is going to be helpful with accreditation. Am I correct?
Yeah, in several different ways, as well as like them navigating problems like we did in Welcome Week, and just gaining awareness of Merritt and being like, oh, wow, I've seen this all over Facebook, and they're talking about some really progressive stuff I identify with. I should enroll here.
Okay.
I didn't know I was living right down the hill from the Black Panthers home.
Right. So what I'm thinking, Michael, is that these are awesome discussions for us to have as a committee. However, I'm not sure we want to take it on as our charge to be in charge of ensuring social media is up to date. However, we can spread that message, but I'd like to hear what other people have to say on that.
Totally, and I invite it to be a loose idea, not like ensuring, but the promoting.
How do other people feel about including that in our charge or making that, or does it already exist within what we've said in terms of reviewing updates and changes to accreditation standards? How do other people feel about that?
I think when we say to communicate the college's progress, strengths, and needs to the college community, perhaps we could extend that and say and the community at large. And as part of that, we can, integrate social media when appropriate as a means of just disseminating information.
Would that work for you, Michael, or do you want are you asking for a specific line to be added to our bylaws that includes social media?
No, it was purely a loose suggestion, and that or anything sounds beautiful. I just think we could gain from it, and it ties into this item a bit.
Okay, great, and I appreciate that. I agree with you that we need to pay more attention to that.
Hillary,
Yes, please,
can I
Arya.
suggest?
Yes.
I wondered if maybe to address the suggestion of social media, rather than to call it out as social media, but maybe extend the last part of number 5, website and other communication platforms. Or we could say and or other communication platforms. I mean, that way it's not just specific, I don't know. Or
No, it's good. So number 5, I think, Arya, is more directed at just the ACCJC requirements.
mm-hmm.
I think what Michael is asking for is accurate and updated information for students in general, which
That's a
we could,
broader,
which would fit more in number 3. So if we want to extend number 3, we could, or we could be specifically say, you know, including communication to students.
We could say and needs to the college and local community. We could just put and local community.
How do people feel about that? Does that work? Any disagreement?
Hillary?
Yes.
Either way.
Hey, Courtney.
Hey, if I hear what Michael and some other people are saying, it's really maintaining our contact with community,
Yes.
both the community in which we operate and the community of students that we facilitate.
Yes.
In times like now, especially, holding on to their student identity is really a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think number 3 is kind of where this goes. And it might even be to ensure strong communication with the community in which the college operates and the community of students that it creates. So that's really the sense of what I'm hearing, because a lot of the things that normally help students navigate their college path, being shoulder to shoulder with someone else or looking over at what they're doing, that's an important part that right now is missing or underserved. And so if I hear what was brought forward, it's really to look at the college's mission in being a resource to the community and a resource to its students and communicating in ways that help that happen.
Thanks, Courtney. I'm just thinking about how to, so as I look at number 3, I'm realizing that when we first wrote that, that's about how we're doing with accreditation. And so, you know, making sure that we communicate the college's progress in terms of the accreditation process, the strengths of how we're doing, and the needs. So it might be that what we're talking about is something separate and additional.
I'm very open to that either way. I just wanted to note that that all sounds like a good understanding. I just wanted to add that I'm also talking about it from a standpoint of branding, advertising, and enrollment.
Right. And I agree with everything everyone is saying, and I just want to make sure that we are looking at it from the point of view of the Accreditation Committee's charge, right? So I hear all of what you're saying, and it is part of the college's charge and part, like, you know, following the mission and tying in the mission with everything that we do.
I would also like to just suggest that the Enrollment Management Committee, which is going to be up and running, would also be a good place to try and engage the community at large in some of these ideas. So I feel like the Accreditation Committee is pretty focused in its responsibilities and charge, and I believe that number 3 accommodates what's been requested, I think, fairly well.
Hillary, can I add something?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to say one more thing, Neem, because I think what I'm hearing from Michael is a place where students' voices can also be heard, that if they're not getting accurate information. But go ahead, Neem.
Yeah, I'm really glad that people are thinking of all of these things that impact our accreditation standards, but I want to urge us not to get bogged down in the details. I hope we all realize that this committee is not the committee that's going to do all of the work of accreditation. Its purpose is really to facilitate our accreditation process, to guide it, to, you know, suggest helpful ways to be effective, for accreditation, instead of actually, nitpicking every single thing we do. Because I think that will really derail what the purpose and the charge of this committee is if we get down to that level of detail. There's no one person or one committee that can do all the work, and that's why there are so many representatives on this committee, because this message needs to be taken out and disseminated broadly across the campus that we're all involved in this work. It's good that we have these ideas, but these are things we can discuss as a part of this committee and then communicate to other parties. I don't want us to feel like we need to take all of these things on.
Thank you, Neem. Courtney, does that sound like that works for you, or are you feeling like something is missing still?
No, absolutely. I think that keeping the scope of this committee very tight with a clear mandate of guiding and planning is the most important thing to do.
Great. Okay. And then if everyone
I
could
just
just...
want to say,
Go ahead, Michael.
I'm sorry, I just want to, I lose signal here going up the hill to Merritt, and I'll be back into signal as soon as I connect up there. That I completely understand that. I'm very much the learner here. I'll let you all know if I'm attached to anything. Just consider everything else a very loose suggestion. And if you tell me that doesn't sound like it fits the narrow focus, I wanna be in that narrow focus. So you tell me that then, and I've released the idea. I definitely don't want to bog us down or take up too much time. Thank you all.
Thank you, Michael. And your voice is important, so thank you. All right. Any additions, disagreements with the membership or appointments and vacancies? Do you guys need me to make it bigger? Can you see?
So I have a question about, oh wait, where am I? Or maybe this got changed already.
Yeah, I took some of your suggestions in there. The only thing I didn't know, the ICER coordinator is another item that you marked,
Oh, right, that was
Dan.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know who that is.
So I was thinking that was you.
Oh.
I don't know if there's another title. Denise is, I assume Dan has a title. I just didn't know what it was, so I called it ICER coordinator.
Well, Dan, I wasn't there when that was created. What was, I know that we have a, a role that was designated for you when the,
So I'm the faculty lead, but by the way, like we have in the past had different divisions of labor, and different colleges in the district and statewide, designate who's in charge of whatever the accreditation work they're doing in different ways. And so I don't know that so I'm the faculty tri-lead. There's 3 tri-leads, right? The administrative and the classified and faculty. And so if the intent is to include all 3 of those should be included, but I don't know that the college wants to be locked down that we're always going to have this exact same organizational structure for every accreditation cycle. And so I was suggesting that that could just be said anyone who's any faculty, staff, or administrator who are who have been appointed to accreditation work, who are not already on the committee, or something like that. Because it could be, and by the way, it's not just going to be ICER. There's going to be annual reports that are due. We might have we've had special people who are in charge of follow-up reports, and so those people should, I think, be part of the accreditation committee. So I think that maybe a description of people who have been appointed to work on accreditation reports or something like that.
What if we just said, because I'm just trying to keep it simple, Dan, and ICER, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I wanted it to be somebody with a leadership position. So can we say an ICER lead or any ICER lead?
Or
Yeah, I like that word, lead.
Is it just ICER though, not follow-up report? We had an entire committee built up around our follow-up report a few years ago.
I guess
Those people should be on this committee.
I guess I'm assuming that that would qualify. The follow-up report is still having to do with the ICER. It's just follow-up to the ICER, but we can make it specific if people think that's necessary.
We could do an accreditation report lead.
Yeah, because like right now we're in the process, like after this meeting and even meeting the presidents of the other 3 colleges and I are meeting tomorrow from 11 to 4, writing trying to meet the November 1st deadline for the response to the probation letter that we got. So that I would, in the future, you know, I would hope that this committee would be able to assist in something like that as well.
So does it work to say any ICER or accreditation follow-up lead, or do we need to say something more specific?
An accreditation report lead, because that's inclusive of the ICER or the follow-up or even special reports that have to be done. We can just say an accreditation report lead.
Does that work for you, Dan?
Sure. And then just in terms of like how that would impact this committee's membership, that would mean that Tashetta would also be a non-voting member in addition to myself as the classified lead.
Yeah, we can have as many non-voting people come. It's always helpful to have experts in their area, so. Okay, is everyone okay with the wording on that now, or any other?
As a non.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then chairperson duties. I can make this bigger if that's helpful.
Yes, thank you.
Sure. So I'll just read it quickly because it's short. The role of faculty chair includes prepare and post the agendas, facilitate regular meetings, responsible for ensuring minutes are taken and posted, keep informed of accreditation standards, report to accreditation, that should say accreditation. Steering committee within an ongoing accreditation process. Any changes, additions to that?
Can you explain, so report to accreditation steering committee with an ongoing accreditation?
I think that means, you know, the meetings that we have, Denise, to stay abreast of what's happening, that's the responsibility of the chair, so that there's communication back and forth between what's going on in the writing or in anything else that's happening at the college and this committee.
That sounds good. Okay.
Okay. All right, any other questions, changes, suggestions, disagreements?
I don't want to be nitpicky again, but like similar to the ICER coordinator, I don't know that we're going to have, like we have an accreditation steering committee that exists right now. Is that going to be an ongoing standing committee? And if not, maybe we shouldn't include that in our bylaws. Or
we could say report to accreditation steering committee. Well, I guess I'm okay with it functioning when it's happening. You know, should we have follow-up, then the accreditation steering committee will continue to meet. But how do other people feel?
You could say report to accreditation steering committee during the accreditation report period or something like that. What do you think about that? So that it's specific to the particular.
Well, I'm just sorry. So my question or objection to it is just that I don't know that, let's say 6 years from now, you know, like I don't know if you know, President Johnson and Vice President Richardson are going to continue to like want to say, oh, we have this, you know, like I don't, like not every college has an accreditation steering committee.
I guess I'm sorry.
So yeah, so like I don't want to put things in this, like that we're like in the next accreditation cycle, we might say, well, that doesn't even apply. That doesn't make any sense anymore, you know?
Yeah, I guess my response to that would be we review the bylaws every year and we can make those changes next year if it's not applicable.
Good point. I withdraw my objection.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, let's do a a vote. And so I'll just call each of the voting members to say, yes, I approve, or no, or I abstain. So Hillary, yes, I approve. Is Marie here? Lilia? Lilia, are you here still? Michael?
Aye, or yes?
We're voting whether you approved to the agenda as, I'm sorry, to the bylaws as amended. Yes?
Right,
No?
yes.
Okay. Arya?
Yes, I approve.
Thank you. Lillian?
Yes, I approve.
Thank you. Dr. Richardson?
Yes, I approve.
Is Margie here?
Yes, I approve.
Thank you. Denise Woodward?
Yes, I approve.
And Laura?
Yes, I approve.
Great.
I
Thank you
approve
very
too.
Oh, Lilia, there you are.
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. So unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's move on in our agenda. We are going to move on to the standing items. The first standing item is assessment. And what we wanted to talk about today is the fact that we're moving from assessment in, at least in terms of academics, right? We had been looking at assessment in terms of student learning outcomes, and we really, and also we've been doing a great job with ILOs, with institutional learning outcomes, but we really want to focus on program level outcomes. And that's not just in academics, right? That's also service area outcomes or other programs. So I wanted to discuss today and get all of your feedback and suggestions on how we can, I know that there have been announcements made to the faculty to start to turn in that material, and that's great. And Laura, I assume that went out from all 3 divisions. It did, okay. But I wanted to talk about where we're storing that information, if there's a repository, and also if you're not a faculty, how those program level outcomes get discussed and where those get stored. And anybody can start. This is where I really need everybody to talk about their area and be vocal.
So Hillary, can I go ahead and begin?
Please.
I can talk about it from the SLOAC perspective.
Yes, yes.
And what we've really, so we have sent out emails to all 3 divisions. We've been meeting with during department meetings and so forth, trying to facilitate that. And so far, our focus has been on academic areas. We're still looking for an SAO coordinator, Marty Zilke, who is retired, did a fabulous job, and we have lots of documentation, which I know has already been provided to the committee. So what we have asked departments to do is to please forward that information, any of their documentation, and it can be in a variety of forms. We had developed a template, which is something I know we used in our department, and Heather has used it, and I think a couple of other departments have used it. But it could even be, we've gotten these beautiful reports, they're external accreditation reports that any of the programs that have to have that, like a lot of the allied health programs that have that, we're receiving those. And what we're doing right now is we are gathering that and then we're forwarding it to NEAM. So that's kind of where we're at least in terms of SLOAC. And I don't know, if that'll be, I think NEAM, maybe you can speak a little bit to some of the gathering of that, because I think there's a plan for some of that. Oh, I should also say, we do have lots of documentation also on the SLOAC website. So like all of our minutes where we're discussing all of these issues, the agendas, and so forth are up there. And we had talked about perhaps us collecting some of that and putting it up there, but it makes much more sense to have it in one, in one place. So I think that was a plan. So Neem, do you want to maybe speak to that?
Sure. Several of us were in this meeting. We're also in attendance at the SLOAC meeting yesterday, and we actually did discuss this. And they're very familiar with this dead horse that I've been flogging for a long time here. And that dead horse is called program review and APU. And in my opinion, that is the central mechanism by which we actually do the work that we say we're going to do, and we document it. So if you were to ask me, the repository is the APU and the program review. Everything we do should be attached to that. It's in one place. It's proof that we do integrated planning and budgeting, assessment, curriculum review, appropriate resource allocation, bam. We just checked off 2/3 of the standards.
Yes, thank you, Neem. I'm so glad the meeting was yesterday and that already went right out of my mind. So thank you so much.
I'm going to ask you again, Neem, just for fun.
I mean, we completely concur. That is the place. And I was even thinking, as I'm preparing for my program review or our APU this semester, I'm done with that piece of it. I have all of that document. I can copy and paste that and put it right in there, or I can attach it. But yes, that really is where it should go. I would agree.
And so also, thank you, Heather. So what about service area outcomes? Those of you in the room right now, some of you work in service areas. How do you provide evidence for discussions about those service area outcomes?
I can speak to what Marty was doing. This is Heather. Sorry, I had trouble having you guys hear me, but I think I figured it out. Marty was amazing. That woman needs a superhero cape to fly off into her retirement with, because she did an amazing job with the service areas and facilitating their assessments. Because Curricunet does not currently support SAO assessments on that platform, Marty, I'm pretty sure, and Laura, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Marty was tracking all of that. So she would facilitate the assessment with whichever department she was working with, and then she was tracking all of it. I don't know that that is sustainable, because this means whoever's coming in as the SAA coordinator inherits that. So if we want to take a look at moving back, kind of like we are with the PLOs, and putting it on the departments to say, well, you should be documenting this and then reporting it in your APUs and your program reviews, that's something that we can look at.
Can I ask Margie or Lillian or Lilia, when you have meetings in your programs or in your service areas, how you bring up these SAOs and how you discuss it, and what do you do with that information?
So when we do have our meetings, the way I recall us discussing the importance of the SAOs. We stress the importance of how it's, that the way we collect data, and how the surveys turn into data for us, and how we then use that for our service, for our SAOs and our program reviews. So I recall that being something that we always talked about and stressed, and now our service areas actually are collecting data at the front at the front counters, so that they can have that evidence, and to see how, so we can see how we assess in our areas. So now we're going to have to do that strategically moving forward, or remotely, because we still need to collect that data.
And then does that get documented somewhere, Margie?
Well, in my area for the Welcome Center, yes. Well, the intake forms that we take, I then have a spreadsheet where I transfer the information and tally it up and keep it on a master spreadsheet.
Okay.
Hillary, I just wanted to add that a lot of the documentation, I think I did it more with the dean, when I was the Dean of Special Programs and Grants. So in our meetings, it was noted in the agendas.
Okay.
When we have special trainings, any collaboration we did with our researcher, we did a special training for the whole division, and I had an agenda, sign-in sheet. I believe at our last accreditation, I provided a packet with all the documentation of meetings and where it was noted on our agendas as evidence. And then we participated in the assessment week, and we had pictures of the assessments that were done, and we had assessment week, and we all put up our boards, our vision boards about what the data means to us, and where are we going to make the necessary changes.
Thank you, Lilia. So Neem, hearing that, in terms of evidence for when you're writing a report, does that do the job, or do we need to talk about or brainstorm other ways of documenting or just publishing this evidence?
I think we need to distinguish between two sets of different documents. One is on an institutional level, and that's what I'm referring to when I say that all of this should be part of the program review APU process. That is an institutional, like repository for the entire college, so that we don't depend on any one person or one department to keep this archive, right? But each department, each unit has its own responsibility to maintain their own departmental documentation and records, correct? If you hold department meetings, hopefully you're sending out agendas to your faculty and to your staff, and you're taking notes or minutes, and you're compiling them and storing them somewhere. That's also evidence, right? So yes, I think as long as we are all on board with that idea, that is way more than sufficient. I don't think there's anything else we need to do.
Great. All right, anybody have anything else they want to talk about? And I'm sorry, I should have just asked for a report, Laura and Heather, from the meeting yesterday. Is there anything else relevant that you want to bring in?
Since I'm new to our systems and since we're still getting rolling, I'm not really able to provide much feedback on that note, but I just wanted to, mention I am absorbing and paying attention. Though it's about 3 minutes before I have to depart from you all. Should I state myself as I'm sorry, what's the word for not voting? Abstaining. Should I state myself as abstaining from here, or?
No, you're fine, Michael.
Okay.
I don't think we're voting on anything else. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all, and have a great day.
All right. Okay, great. The next item happens to be accreditation, which will always be an item in this group. And it's actually, some of it is announcements. So this was a question Dan also brought up. So we had discussed having an accreditation day on Tuesday, September 8th from 11:30 to 2:30. I think the question is, are we going to still do that, or are we going to join the district-wide accreditation day on Thursday, September 10th? Was that the question, Dan?
Well, no, my question, I was just, apparently this district-wide accreditation day was news to everyone as of this morning on campus, and so I thought we should discuss that and find out what was happening there. But as far as I know, as far as I know, that there aren't the exact same goals for both meetings, so I don't know that we need to cancel one in lieu of the other one. But I was just wondering, what is this other thing that's happening at the district, and are we taking part in it, and what should we do to prepare for it?
So this is the thing that I just saw an email. You're talking about for the 10th of September?
Yeah.
This is the first I've heard of it. So that's unfortunate.
So does anybody have that email in front of them? Because the way I read it, it sounded like it was encouraging the colleges to have their own accreditation day. So if we've already scheduled one, I would think we could just use that in place of the 10th.
I would say yes. I would absolutely agree. So it's great that we were all on the same page theoretically in terms of having this day. But yeah, I guess I'm a little bit concerned that I had not been made aware that this was something that was being promoted district-wide until today. Okay. So I think we can just, or Dr. Johnson or I can just reply and say, we are on board. We're just going to be a bit early with it.
Okay, and I suppose also just ask if there's anything that they're expecting from this day that we're not already taking into account.
Good point. Yeah.
Okay. So just to let everyone know, on the accreditation day, if anybody was at Flex Day, when we went through accreditation, we meant to go into breakout rooms and really focus on these questions about the mission and the different standards and have a very campus-wide discussion. And for various reasons, technical being most of them, we weren't able to have those focused discussions within each standard, and also the time was very constrained. And so we're using that college hour where nobody has classes from, it's 12:30 to 1:30, right, on that Tuesday, to really focus and have as many people as possible attend so that we can have that college-wide discussion. We would love to have as many of you there as possible as you see the emails coming out, and to encourage the people that you deal with in your different committees and programs and divisions to please attend, because the more widespread that discussion, the better. But on the other sides of that, Denise, could you talk about what else we are planning to do in, previous to the college hour and after the college hour?
Well, I know that we're going to kind of review what's been done, do a little bit of an overview similar to what we did during Flex Day, but we're going to be much more focused on the specific areas, particularly where we still need evidence and information. So we're going to be talking a lot about that and trying to just ensure that people are very much familiar with all of the standards and what we're saying, because it's really important when the visiting team comes that everyone has this kind of basic overview of where we stand as a college in those specific areas. What are some of the other things that we talked about in terms of that day? Hillary, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of...
That's okay. So I have written down that we're going to discuss the integration of all the areas of accreditation, including the mission, assessment, resource allocation processes, and role of participatory governance, to really make sure everyone understands the accreditation process as a whole, and then specifically how we are responding to it as a college. And I think we're focused right now on where we are and where we want to go. But we could also add a dreamy kind of future perspective, right, of what's the organization we want to be.
And we're going to also focus on a lot of the work that we've done, and in terms of the APs that we've gone over, we're going to be talking about that, particularly the integrated planning and budgeting model and how that very much aligns with the APU. And we're just going to also, I think, review a lot of the documents that have been rolled out. Stephanie talked a lot about on Flex Day, the fact that we're going to have our participatory governance handbook revised. We hope to have that, no, we're planning to have that ready for that date. Is that correct, Neem? That's going to be ready for the public then, the participatory handbook, or is that for the 18th?
I think Stephanie can answer that question. I'm not sure.
Okay.
We can put it in there, and the faculty handbook.
And the faculty handbook, and the calendar.
Okay. Great. The other announcement, but also, obviously everything has to do with accreditation, is the Fall Planning Summit on Monday, September 14th. Is that the correct day, or did you say the 18th?
18th, I believe it is.
So is that a Friday?
Friday the 18th, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Okay, and what I have down for what we're doing at the Fall Planning Summit is that we're going to talk about goals for the academic year. That is the delivery of the new APU template, reminders of the importance of program assessment and any new processes, and a discussion of the mission statement review and approval cycle. Are there other things to add to that?
I think that basically covers it. I think the president will be rolling out the Ed Master Plan timeline as well, and talk about the committee, the formation of that committee. We've already met once, and talk about the ongoing activities of that committee in terms of establishing our new plan. So that will be one piece of it as well.
Okay. So Michael, when he was here, the ASMC president, asked us to add to the agenda a discussion of communication with students, especially about the opening week of classes. I think this semester, particularly with being remote, and as Denise and David know, there are students coming to campus still. So why don't we allow for 10 minutes for that discussion in terms of what's working, what we need improvements on, and any recommendations that people have to better communicate with students who really aren't somehow getting any communication or enough communication from us. Maybe David
This
and
is
Denise.
Dan.
Yeah, or Dan, okay. Go ahead.
I was going to say that one thing that I think is working well is what the Welcome Center is doing by having open Zoom office hours for the entire first week. I think it's very helpful to have a place, you know, a virtual place for students to go where they can actually talk to a person. You know, there were previous calls that took place that we had last week with different groups, and people were saying that, like, you know, counselors were saying that when they meet with the student doesn't want to go away because that's the first person they've actually been able to talk to, so they want to deal with all of their problems. And so I think it's really helpful to have like a point of contact that is like sort of like a walk-in, you know, available type, you know, virtual space like that.
Great.
I think the student services, we already have ambassadors that students can connect with. Is that correct, Dr. Chavez? Or
Margie,
yes, I'm here. So for the first week, the Welcome Center was available, as well as student activities hosted the virtual Zooms for the first week, but we all worked as a team to assist those efforts, but that was led by Doris Hankins. So the Welcome Center has 2 students that are responding right away, and they're copying me on each of the emails that they respond to the students through our welcome.merritt@peralta.edu. So those emails, we're checking the box. They've been on for the last 4 days, and they're up to date on it. The students, from the replies I get through my email, I see that the students are very, very appreciative that we're there to meet their needs.
Is there an opportunity to maybe even hire some more students to work study to kind of help manage that load?
Yeah, also, yeah, I've been in touch with Pauline. I know Carmen, we have another student that's coming through CalWorks. I also would like to hire some bilingual students because our population is changing, and I want to be able to meet the needs of our population. So please, if you guys have any students that you know that speak Hmong or French or whatever other, you know, language, we want to hire, bring them on board as well. Also,
Margie, I'm going to just suggest that if you write up an email, maybe send it out by FAS, and then we could all send it out to our students.
We'll do that. Also, the students have agreed to, they have to attend, once again, a FERPA training, because they have, once we do the Zoom meetings, the students will then have access to navigate and share screen to help students in the breakout rooms to actually enroll in the classes. Right now, they're just calling the students back or either giving them bullet points on how to navigate the website. But there is a training Carmen is going to refer us to through FERPA so that the students could do the actual Zoom meetings, so we can continue with the efforts that Doris organized last week. We want to be able to serve with that face-to-face touch because it means a lot to our students.
That's fantastic.
Sorry to take us on a tangent, but since the subject of student ambassadors was brought up, I wanted to make people aware of an issue that I've been encountering in the library, and I've also heard of from our DE committee. There are a lot of students who need help with Canvas, just, you know, accessing Canvas, navigating Canvas, you know, just getting used to using it as their everyday kind of classroom. Is there any way we can hire student ambassadors to assist students specifically with this task? And I'm not expecting an answer now, but I wanted to put it out there because I think it is an issue for many students.
One thing that might be good is on our website putting together like a little manual, like a quick little YouTube video where you actually kind of like watch somebody, you know, and we can have a couple little modules or whatever. Like, this is how you know, get on. This is how you turn things in. This is how you, I mean, that might be an idea. I don't know if others are
We
thinking about it.
already have Canvas links on there. I mean, that's there are already Canvas links on the website. Sometimes I think on the other end, the faculty need to turn on or initiate, or what is it, a turn on button for the
Publish.
Yes. So sometimes the students can't, they say there's nothing there, or so it needs to be turned on. I don't know, the Canvas needs more attention. Because of the COVID and because people are as shelter in place, there's a higher need. Students want to see somebody, at least even online.
Yeah, and I don't mean to place this on, the shoulders of student services. I think it is more an instructional issue, but students need some kind of face-to-face, like high contact support with this, I think, not just videos or facts. It's their everyday life now, and they need to get really acquainted with it.
What about office hours, online office hours? If, we posted, get your questions related to instruction answered, and we had some ambassadors or student workers who trained to help with some basic questions. Would that be something in alignment with what you're thinking? Okay.
Yeah, so I know in regards to mainly, we've had like the same 3 issues with Canvas for the last couple of days. The students have access to the Canvas, and they get an error message that says page not found. So after going through the email process and giving them access, then they have this issue. So then they have to email canvas@peralta.edu, and then they have to email the teacher if after 24 hours the class isn't published. So there's like multiple steps. So in addition to having the FAQs, which I believe we need, because these can be quick fix if it's very clear for the students, because once we give them the 1, 2, 3, then they're happy and they're satisfied. And then they're actually in the class if the teacher in fact does publish. But we can hire more student workers. There's students that want to be employed, so we can hire them. And then like we had those hours last week, well, this week, we could have students to just go in specifically for Canvas. Hit this link, these Zoom hours from 9 to 2. If you need Canvas assistance, then we can have a staff person there monitoring, because the students cannot be working alone. So that's why we will have to have a permanent staff person to help monitor that Zoom. But I think that would decrease a lot of the stress level for our students if we could have those Zoom links, and we should continue with those efforts. I'm in agreement, and I'll put out that email to help get more students to work.
So I'm going to put as an action item, Margie, that you're going to take that up. Is that correct?
I'm going to follow up
with the for students.
And Lilia?
Yeah, Margie will talk in about that, because I already talked to Ms. Tajita. Okay.
We've used the designated time for that. I wanted to ask one more question, and we can only devote 2 minutes because we have one more item that we need to get on top of. The students who are coming to campus and don't even know that the campus is closed. David and Denise, you're seeing these students, right, coming to campus. Any ideas on how to reach these students so that they know what's happening and they're not coming to campus?
Our website, I guess, is the only, we have a notice on our website, I think currently, that says that the campus is closed. Maybe better or more use of social media.
I just wanted to add, I know Doris has sent out originally Lowell, and then Doris, the e-blast to informing students that the campus is closed and services were now remote. I can request that she send up a follow-up message. We are handing out, doing the Chromebook distribution, so we do have appointments, but those are specific appointments so we keep students safe. In distance, social distancing, right? But yeah, there are a number of students are just taking their chance and coming on campus. They just said, I just took a chance. I wanted help, or they go through our dock area and just come to the building.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Laura, go ahead.
Oh yeah, can I just ask, I'm curious, So it sounds like, Lilia, you've actually talked to some of these students. Has anybody else talked to the students that are showing up on Canvas, and have they expressed, you know, why? I guess I'm just trying to figure out, like, were these students who were registered for classes and for some reason there was a connectivity challenge, or like, could we sort of see it like a trend or a theme or something with the students who are just showing up?
David or Denise, did you get any of those trends coming up from students who are showing up on campus?
Actually, I think David has had more experience talking to a number of students. I actually haven't seen a lot of students personally. I haven't interacted with them. David, are you still there?
Okay, have a good one. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, it was activity. So you just say, just in terms of what kind of things am I encountering when students come up to campus? Is that? I mean,
what were the challenges that led to the students, you know, if we can identify any particulars so we can try to circumvent that.
Yeah, one that seemed to be pretty common was more of a business services element. They were saying that they couldn't pay fees online, and I spoke with Ron about it, and he seemed to think that it had something to do with the however we're set up. If you're using Chrome or another kind of, it won't let you. It won't accept it. It won't let you do it through a particular browser. So that was a couple of things. But then a lot of people were just simply, I want to sign up for classes, or I want to pay fees.
Okay.
Or I need to see a counselor. I mean, those are the three main ones.
Okay.
I wanted to add to that. I've been getting calls and having students come up. Some students are a little bit more mature in age and they're technologically challenged.
Yes.
And that has been really a big issue. An example, especially with limited language speakers, I was on a call, I presented in Evan's class, Nichols, and I would say there were 17 students and none of them had a student ID. I was reaching out to make sure that I could provide Chromebooks. So we're going to do a triage and figure out how we're going to get them up here to pick it up. But I would like to do a kind of a kill two birds with one stone. Have them pick up the Chromebook, take a picture, and I'd have to really map it out. Students need their IDs to get services.
So I'm really sorry to cut this conversation off because it's rich and it's meaningful and I think it's important. And so what I would like to ask is that these conversations continue in service areas and in program areas, and that maybe we can bring these back next time, the solutions that people have come up with. And if we want to spend more time brainstorming, if we have time to do that, we can do that. But I think this is very important, especially since we are going to start having a really heavy focus on equity for all ages, for all English and learning English speakers. We really want to make sure that we're reaching all students and all potential students as well, because we want to keep our...
I just wanted to add, Hillary, I had an issue with 2 students who were taking classes from Chiapas, Mexico, and wanted a Chromebook.
Wow, that is a problem.
And the students were predominantly spoke Arabic and Spanish.
Interesting. Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate the contributions. Okay, the last thing that we need to do as a committee is set a measurable goal or 2 for the year. And we can brainstorm today. We don't need to settle on it. But does anyone have anything that they would like to set for this committee as an annual or even a semester measurable goal that we can look at the end of the semester or the end of the year to see if we've done it?
I wonder if it would be helpful, Hillary, to go back and look at the charge.
Sure.
You know, just because then if we can see what the committee really is responsible for, maybe the goals can be related to that.
Yep, so that's a good idea, Laura. Let me go back to that.
How about get fully reaccredited?
I like that. How are you feeling about that name?
Still a little hopeful. Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down. Support Merritt College to get fully. You like that one, David? He's gone. Okay. Let me share the screen so you guys can see our charge. I like that one. Denise likes that one. Hold on just a second. I'm taking notes at the same time. Okay. So here's our charge. I can make it bigger for you. I don't think there's anything wrong with what you said, Neem. I think that's it, right? That is the goal of this committee, is to support the accreditation of the college. And it's measurable and it's distinct. Does anyone have any objection to that? Okay. So I'm going to say that the measurable goal, unless anybody disagrees, is to support Merritt College to get fully accredited.
But the reason why I kind of said it jokingly, Hillary, is that obviously that's the goal, right? But that's kind of the trap we fall into every accreditation cycle. We're all about, oh, we're in crunch time. We have to get this done. We have to, you know, like show that we do all these things, and everyone gets into a frenzy and we produce all of this work. And then we get reaccredited, and then everything falls to pieces. So yeah, that's the goal, but really it should be ongoing, not just one accreditation, not just one instance of reaccreditation.
I agree. And maybe another area, sorry, Tom, another area that you've talked about, Neem, is to ensure that we're having these college-wide discussions of the integration of the mission and the allocation of resources and participatory governance. Is that something else that we want to set as a goal? Tom, did you have something else you wanted to say?
Yeah, actually, I would have said something similar to what Neem said, just sort of ensuring you know, an ongoing process of accreditation and, you know, sort of continuity in that process.
Okay.
How you would set that up.
What about,
I'm not sure.
Sorry. I was going to make the comment to kind of piggyback off what Tom and Neem said, that if we set up this committee as an institutionalized committee, so it's not a temporary one, it's ongoing. How can we work this committee into our shared governance structure and make sure that it stays?
That's the idea.
I don't know if folks are getting release time, but that would be another issue. If there is any financial backing, how can we make sure? I know I can just speak from CLOAC's perspective that we fight all the time to get money. So if it's institutionalized, that is no longer an issue.
May I say something?
Please.
Stephanie.
Please, Stephanie.
You know, accreditation is something that impacts everyone, because if we're not fully accredited, we can't operate. And so quite honestly, what we're talking to is operational standards to which we have to adhere to by the commission. And so with everything that we do, it should be speaking relatively to the standard itself, meaning that if we're engaged in an activity, you know, again, this is something you mentioned, Hillary, is it linked to the mission? In what capacity is it linked to the mission? If we're engaging in assessment, in what capacity are we using those assessment results? With respects to budgeting and planning for improvements and ongoing sort of growth, right? How are we incorporating those dollars to develop this growth? And if we're talking about participatory governance, if we're talking about the structure of communication and how we decide our actions and our engagements, again, it's in everything that we do ongoing day to day. We don't necessarily make that connection. It's a huge disconnect with respects to collecting the evidence to show that we're doing it. Oftentimes when we pose the question, folks can say, well, yes, we engage in that, However, what isn't captured is the essence of the conversation or the proof that that level of engagement has taken place, and those transactions are happening on an ongoing basis. And so I would say as a committee to focus on those pieces, right? Again, it's increasing the knowledge of how and why the things that we do are all connected. And if we're doing it with and being mindful about our actions and the level of engagement, then we don't have to necessarily go and hunt for things when it's time to produce these reports, because it's in everything that we do. We speak to it continuously, and so maybe we focus on something to that nature.
So Stephanie, thank you. And let me make sure I heard you correctly. I know there's a lot there, but I wrote down as a goal, and I didn't quite get it the way I want to, but communicating out to all members of the college community the interconnectedness or the necessity of the interconnectedness with the mission of everything that we do. And we need to reword that, but is that the correct sort of?
Yeah, that's the essence of.
Okay, and we can fix that maybe at the beginning of the next meeting unless somebody has wording that they want to contribute.
Can I make a suggestion?
Please, Denise.
I think it would be a great idea to educate the college community. A lot of people may not really know much about accreditation, especially some newer employees. And so if we had some info sessions where we could educate people and try to make some connections with the work that they do every day so that they can see that they're a part, of the process.
I love that.
And then they can, document it to what they do as connected to, the whole as a campus.
I love that. How do other people feel about that?
I think that's a great idea. And I think that's a really natural responsibility for this committee, is to make sure that people are educated about what accreditation is about and how it relates to them. So that's an excellent idea.
I just wanted to add to Neil's point that, and I think also what Stephanie's saying, that one of it is the interconnectedness, but the other one is our own accountability at every level of us documenting and really having a repository, so we're not, I think that's been a big challenge, and it has to be the accountability that everybody's responsible. But I guess as leaders, we also have to do follow-ups and make sure we have the evidence to provide.
Thank you, Lilia.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're at 128. Sorry, I'm just finishing typing that, but I'm going to go back and watch the recording because I want to pay attention to you guys. I want to thank everyone. This is the level of engagement that I want. I appreciate that most of you made some really important contributions today, and this is how we're going to become the organization we want to be moving forward, is that we really work together from all of these different areas. And also just a reminder to communicate this out. So as you're talking to the different people in your service area or in your department or in your program or in your division, to please make sure and share what we've talked about and the importance of what everybody does and how they document. But we can take it up and how we can do that as a committee next time. All right, thanks everybody. I want to wish you all well, and if there's any last minute questions or announcements anyone has, now's the time.
I'm going to announce that I was just named the co-chair of the Planning and Budget Council, so the PBC, the District Budget Committee. So I'm going to be co-chair for that. And one of the things we didn't talk about, but thinking about standard 4D multi-college districts, like we need to be more proactive about getting stuff out of the district so that we're not sort of subject to their whims, so to speak. So that might be another goal to consider as well. But yeah, so I'm co-chair of the PBC.
Thank you, Tom.
Congrats.
Yeah, congrats.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
One
a
thing
huge
before you
commitment.
guys, oh, I'm so sorry, Denise.
No, I was just telling Tom, thank you. That's a huge commitment. And, you know, I'll do what I can to support you too, because I think we do need to be more connected with the district processes and policies and how they, you know, roll out our budgets and communicate with us about our budgets.
I did want to share something with people if they have just a moment. I'm going to call the meeting to adjournment. So if you have to leave, you have to leave. But we've been designing a shirt that we're going to figure out how to get to you, because things that we've been talking about today are exactly what we're talking about in terms of having accreditation every day. So this is what the shirt is going to look like on the front.
Oh, nice.
And on the back. This is our area of focus. So we'll be talking to you about your sizes, because we want to encourage everybody to be practicing accreditation every day with a focus on equity as an organization that's going through a transformation, with empowerment for our students, accountability for everybody, and always focused on the mission. So thank you very much, and we will be in touch. See you for the next meeting.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
Hillary.
Very
Thanks,
good.
everyone.
Very
Yeah.
impressive.
Bye,
Take care.
everybody.
Have a
Great
good
team.
weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
So now I'm going to talk to David about the t-shirts.
No, sorry.
No, this is a good idea. I mean,
Thanks, Marie.